Good day. Welcome to our second topic. Hopefully, you have read the PDF file that I uploaded in FB group and also in Google Classroom. Sana yung mga question na nasa isip nyo, masagot natin dito sa video na ito. So, here we go. The 6 steps to decision making. These steps are needed in analyzing managerial decisions. First, define the problem, determine the objective, explore the alternatives, predict the consequences, make a choice, and perform sensitivity analysis. As an example, if I will going to ask you what is your problem right now, probably many of you would say, money. Wala na pong pang-load, ma'am. Di na maka-online. Di na maka-download. Hindi na mapanood yung video. So, madalas, yan naman ang problem natin. But, syempre, hindi ko kayo mabibigyan ng pera. But, ano yung magiging objective natin? We have to find ways para makapag-raise ng money. Kung yan ang objective natin, ano yung pwede nating maging alternatives? Ano yung pwede nating maging solusyon sa problem natin? Maybe we can find a job. We can sell something like old clothes, old bags, yung mga gamit na hindi natin na ginagamit, we can post it online, or we can also create something, new product that we can post it and maybe people can buy it. Now that we explore the alternatives, we have to predict the consequences. Siyempre, before we decide ano ang pwede natin gawin, we have to foresee what will happen next. If we are going to find a job, alam natin, most of you, hindi pa rin pwedeng lumabas. If you are age below 21, bawal po kayong lumabas, so paano kayo maghahanap ng work? Maybe online, we can explore other things like online job hunting. Why not? But the question is, do you have the resources? Like computers, stable internet connection, and other things. If you will sell new product, you have to know your competitors. At what price you will sell it? Ano ba ang presyo ng magiging competitors mo? Siyempre, kailangan nating i-explore muna ano ba ang ginagawa nila. Diba? But if you want to sell your old clothes, o yung mga hindi mo na ginagamit, may nakita ka nung naglinis ka, diba? The question is there someone who wants to buy it? Sino yung magiging customers mo? Meron kaya? Diba? Marami tayong dapat i-consider before we make a choice. But at the end of the day, you need to decide what are you going to do. Paano mo ma-achieve yung objective mo? Paano natin isosolve yung problem natin? So you have to make a decision. But after you make a decision, hindi pa doon natatapos ang lahat. You have to perform sensitivity analysis. With your analysis, it can give you additional information or confirmation if tama ba ang naging decision mo. Is there anything that you need to adjust? Tama ba ang naging diskarte mo? Kasi kung ang trend na ng profit mo, hindi na siya talaga profit at decreasing na siya, baka kailangan na nating mag-shift. Or baka naman kailangan na nating stop. So these are the things na kailangan nating i-consider. Simple? Maybe. The best way to come acquainted with managerial economics is to come face to face with real-world decision-making problems. This time, we will have a real business world situation examples in each steps to decision-making. So, meron akong mga ipapabasa sa inyong situations and we will analyze it and paano siya pumasok dun sa steps natin. So, step 1, define the problem. What is the problem the manager faces? Who is the decision maker? What is the decision setting or context? And how does it influence managerial objectives or options? Decisions do not occur in a vacuum. Many come about as part of the firm's planning process. All organizations, meron niyang nakaset na monthly meetings, mid-year planning, and year-end planning. So, based on my experience on the private firm, we conduct monthly meetings para pag-usapan ano ba ang problems na meron na na-encounter, ano ba yung mga new opportunities na pwedeng gawin ni company, baka naman pwedeng mag-create ng new product kasi meron namang demand, and merong mid-year planning. In monthly meeting kasi, for the unit lang siya. But in mid-year planning, all the certain staffs are required to attend para sa mid-year planning. Dito pinag-uusapan yung mga naging target ng company versus sa ano na ba ang na-accomplish niya. So, doon ba sa hindi pa na-accomplish na target is meron ba dapat i-adjust? Ito yung time na pinag-uusapan kung kakayanin ba ni company na ma-meet yung target or hindi. Kung hindi, baka dapat tayong magbago ng plan. While in year-end planning, ito na yung kabuuan ng taon, ano na ang na-accomplish ni company, alin ang hindi, and pinag-uusapan din in year-end planning yung new target for the next year. So others are prompted by new opportunities or new problems. It is natural to ask, what brought about the need for the decision? What is the decision all about? Managerial decisions do not come so neatly packaged. Rather, they are messy and poorly defined. Thus, problem definition is a prerequisite for problem management. If simple problems lang naman sa unit, madalas kaya ng solusyonan ni manager yun mag-isa. Hindi na kailangan pa na iparating sa top management. Example is kapag may shortage ng supplies, usually hanggang kay manager na lang yan. Diskarte ni manager, kumbaga. But if the problem involves investments, human resources, o kaya may kinalaman sa budget, yan, mga bagay na yan, dapat alam ng top management. So, usually may report na ginagawa si manager for the approval of the top management. A key part of problem definition involves identifying the context. So, I have here an example of a situation in a public sector. So, you may pause the video so you can read and analyze the situation. Managers representing their respective firms in private sectors are responsible for decisions they made. In public sector, like in our example, decisions are made at all levels of government, in local, in state, and in national. The recommendation concerning construction of a new bridge is made by a city agency and must be approved by the state government. It involves a surprising number of public sector authorities, including the Department of Energy, the Environmental Protection Agency, state and local agencies, the Department of the Interior, and possibly the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. As one might imagine, the larger the number of bodies that share policy responsibility and the pursuit of different goals, the greater is the likelihood that decision-making problems and conflicts will occur. Kaya pagdating sa government decision-making, mahabang processes ang involved. Alam natin yan kasi nangyayari yan dito sa Philippines. In government, bago makapagpasa ng isang resolution, napakadaming pagdadaanan and madaming nagre-review. Unlike in private sector na simple lang ang approval niyan. But of course, it depends on the type of problems we need to resolve. The second step is determining the objective. What is the decision maker's goal? How should the decision maker value outcomes with respect to this goal? What if he or she is pursuing multiple conflicting objectives? When it comes to economic decisions, it is a truism that you cannot always get what you want. But to make any progress at all in your choice, you have to know what you want. In most private sector's decisions, profit is the principal objective of the firm and the usual barometer of its performance. Yan din yung sinabi natin in Lesson 1, that maximizing profit is one of the objectives of all business organizations. Thus, among alternative courses of action, the manager will select the one that will maximize the profit of the firm. Attainment of maximum profit worldwide is the natural objective of the multinational companies. The objective in a public sector decision, whether it be building a bridge or regulating a utility, is broader than the private sector profit standard. The government decision maker should weigh all benefits and costs, not solely revenues and expenses. So according to this benefit cost criterion, the bridge in the previous example may be worth building even if it fails to generate a profit for the government authority. In turn, the optimal means of regulating the production decisions of the utility depends on a careful comparison of benefits. Yan yung mainly in the form of energy conservation and independence and cost in dollar or environmental terms. So in economics, pag ang pinag-uusapan natin is profit, magkaiba siya dun sa sinasabi nating financial accounting and economics accounting. Sa financial accounting, the consideration is in the revenue and cost only. So, pag nilas natin ang cost to the revenue, that is the profit in accounting sense. While in economic accounting, mayroon pa tayong additional cost na tinitingnan, the opportunity cost. Kung mas mataas ang opportunity cost, usually, hindi natin, dinedecline natin yung project na yon. In practice, profit maximization and benefit cost analysis are not always unambiguous guides to decision making. One difficulty is posed by the timing of benefits and costs. Should a firm, example, a drug company, make an investment, isa-sacrifice niya ba yung profits niya today for a greater benefits in 5 or 10 years from now? Or the future benefits to commuters worth the present capital expense of building and bridge? Both private and public investments involve trade-offs between present and future benefits and costs. And the special type of trade-offs is the opportunity cost. Uncertainty poses a second difficulty. In some economic decisions, risks are minimal. For instance, a fast food chain may know that it can construct a new outlet in 45 days at a cost of 5,000 per square foot. The cost of the timing of construction are not entirely certain, but the margin of error is small enough to be safely ignored. In contrast, the cost and date of completing a nuclear power plant are highly uncertain due to unanticipated design, the changes of the design, the cost overruns, schedule delays, and the like. At best, the utilities that share ownership of the plant may be able to estimate a range of cost outcomes and completion dates, and assess probabilities for these possible outcomes. You may post again the video for you to have the time to read this company situation, BP and oil exploration risks. The presence of risk and uncertainty has a direct bearing on the way the decision maker thinks about his or her objective. Both BP and the pharmaceutical company seek to maximize company profit, but there is no simple way to apply the profit criterion to determine their best actions and strategies. BP might pay $50 million to acquire a promising site it believes it worth $150 million and find after thorough drilling and exploration that the site is devoid of oil or natural gas. Similarly, the drug company cannot use the simple rule, choose the method that will yield the greater profit, because the ultimate profit from either method cannot be pinned down ahead of time. There are no profit guarantees. Rather, the drug company faces a choice between two risky research options. Similarly, public programs and regulatory policies generate future benefits and costs that cannot be predicted with certainty. The third step is to explore the alternatives. What are the alternative courses of action? What are the variables under the decision maker's control? What constraints limit the choice of options? After addressing the question, what do you want? In step 2, it is natural to ask, what are our options? Given human limitations, decision makers cannot hope to identify and evaluate all possible options. Still, one would hope that attractive options would not be overlooked or, if discovered, not mistakenly dismissed. However, a sound decision framework should be able to uncover options in the course of the analysis. The concept of scarcity and choice are central to the discipline of economics. These concepts are used to explain the behavior of both producers and consumers. Scarcity necessitates trade-offs. That which is foregone whenever a choice is made is referred to by economists as opportunity cost. So you may pause again this video for the situations given here in the multinational production and pricing. In our examples, the main work of problem definitions has already been carried out, greatly simplifying the identification of decision options. The car maker is free to set prices at home and abroad. These prices will largely determine the number of vehicles the firm can expect to sell in each market. It still remains for the firm to determine a production plan to supply its total projected sales. That is, the firm's other two decision variables, that are quantities to produce in each facility. The firm's task is to find optimal values of these four decision variables, value that will generate a maximum level of profit. In the other example, yung kanina sa step 2, decision maker faces a choice from a relative small number of alternatives. But even when the decisions are limited, there may be more alternatives than first meet the eye. BP faces a myriad of choices as to how and where to explore for oil, how to manage its wells and refineries, and how to sell its petroleum products. There, the limitations and repercussions of the obvious alternatives lead to a wider consideration of other choices, which, unfortunately, have their own side effects. Most managerial decisions involve more than a once-and-for-all choice from among a set of options. Typically, the manager faces a sequence of decisions from among alternatives. To sum up, in view of the myriad uncertainties facing managers, most ongoing decisions should best be viewed as contingent plans. So, every businesses, meron silang contingent plan. Hindi pwedeng wala because of so many uncertainties that can be happen. That is why, on the next step, we have to predict the consequences. What are the consequences of each alternative action? Should conditions change? How would this affect outcomes? If outcomes are uncertain, what is the likelihood of each? Can better information be acquired to predict outcomes? Depending on the situation, the task of predicting the consequences may be straightforward and challenging. Sometimes, elementary arithmetic suffices. In accounting, yun lang yung kailangan natin. But, for instance, the simplest profit calculation requires only subtracting cost from revenues. The choice between two safety programs might be made according to which saves the greater number of lives per dollar expended. Here, the use of arithmetic division is the key to identifying preferred alternative. It is good to remember that economics is a social, not a physical science. Economists cannot conduct controlled laboratory experiments, which makes economic theorizing all the more difficult. It also makes economists vulnerable to ridicule. In business, the objective is to reduce uncertainty. The study of economics is an attempt to bring order out of seeming chaos. Are economists sometimes wrong? Certainly. But the alternative for managers would be to make decisions in the dark. What then are theories? Theories are abstractions that attempt to strip away unnecessary detail to expose only the essential elements of observable behavior. Theories are often expressed in the form of models. A model is the formal expression of a theory. In economics, models may take in the form of diagrams, graphs, or mathematical statements that summarize the relationship between and among two or more variables. More often than not, there will be more than one theory to explain any given economic phenomenon. When this is the case, which theory should be used? Models in more complicated situations, however, the decision maker often must rely on a model to describe how options translate into outcomes. A model is a simplified description of a process, relationship, or other phenomenon. By deliberate intent, a model focuses on a few key features of a problem to examine carefully how they work while ignoring other complicating and less important factors. The main purposes of models are to explain and to predict, to account for past outcomes, and to forecast future ones. The kind of predictive models are as varied as the decision problems to which they are applied. Many models rest on economic relationships. Suppose the multinational car maker, yan yung example natin kanina, the step 3, predicts a 10% price cut will increase unit sales by 15% in the foreign market. The basis for this prediction is the most fundamental relationship in economics, the demand curve. Borders decisions of when and how to enter a new market depends on predictions of demand and cost, and these elements may be captured with a model of competitive behavior among oligopolists. Other models rest on statistical, legal, and scientific relationships. The construction and configuration of the new bridge, yung example 1 natin, and the plan to convert utilities to coal depend in large part on engineering predictions. Evaluations of test marketing results rely heavily on statistical models. Legal models, interpretation of statutes, precedents, and the like are pertinent to predictions of a firm's potential patent liability and to the outcomes in other legal disputes. So that is the prediction of the consequences. The next step is to make a choice. After all the analysis is done, what is the preferred course of action? For obvious reasons, this step, along with the step number 4, occupies the lion's share of the analysis and discussion in the module. Once the decision maker has put the problem in context, formalized key objectives, and identified available alternatives, how does he or she go about finding a preferred course of action? In the majority of the decisions we take up, the objectives and outcomes are directly quantifiable. Thus, a private firm, such as the car maker, can compute the profit results of alternative price and output plans. Analogously, a government decision maker may know the computed net benefits, benefits minus cost, of different program options. The decision maker could determine a preferred course of action by enumeration, that is, by testing a number of alternatives and selecting the one that best meets the objective. This is fine for decision involving a small number of choices. Remember, this is for the small number of choices, but it is impractical for more complex problems. Example, what if the car company drew up a list of 24 different pricing and production plans, computed the profit of each, and settled on the best of the lot? How could management be sure this choice is truly the best of all possible plans? What if a more profitable plan, say, the 25th candidate, can overlook? Expanding the enumerated list could reduce the risk, but at considerable cost. So fortunately, the decision maker need not rely on the painstaking method of enumeration to solve such problems. A variety of methods can identify and cut directly to the best or optimal decision. These methods rely to varying extents on marginal analysis, decision trees, game theory, benefit-cost analysis, and linear programming, all of which we take up later in this module. These approaches are important not only for computing optimal decisions but also for checking why they are optimal. And the last steps is to perform sensitivity analysis. What features of the problem determine the optimal choice of action? How does the optimal decision change if conditions in the problem are altered? Is the choice sensitive to key economic variables about which the decision maker is uncertain? In tackling and solving a decision problem, it is important to understand and be able to explain to others the why of your decision. The solution, after all, did not come out of thin air. It depended on our stated objectives, the way you structured the problem, including the set of options you considered, and your method of predicting outcomes. Thus, sensitivity analysis considers how an optimal decision is affected if key economic facts or conditions vary. Here is a simple example of the use of sensitivity analysis. Senior management of a consumer products is conducting a third-year review of one of its new products. Two of the firm's business economists have prepared an extensive report that projects significant profits from the product over the next 2 years. These profit estimates suggest a clear course of action. Continue marketing the product. As a member of senior management, would you accept this recommendation uncritically? The answer would be probably not. After all, you may be well aware that the product has not yet earned a profit in its first 2 years. Although it sold reasonably well, it also had high advertising and promotion costs and a low introductory price. What lies behind a new profit projection? Greater sales, a higher price, or both? A significant cost reduction? The process of tracking down the basic determinants of profit is one aspect of sensitivity analysis. As one would expect, the product's future revenues and costs may be highly uncertain. Management should recognize that the revenue and cost projections come with a significant margin of error. Attach and should investigate the profit effects if outcomes differ from the report's forecasts. What if sales are 12% lower than expected? What if projected cost reductions are not realized? What if the price of a competing product is slashed? By answering these what-if questions, management can determine the degree to which its profit projections and therefore its marketing decisions are sensitive to the uncertain outcomes of key economic variables. So always remember that the performance of the sensitivity analysis is very much important in the decision-making process. So, thank you so much guys sa pagtapos nyo ng video na ito. Hopefully, samahan nyo ulit ako on my next video. Let me end with this quote. Smooth sea never made a skilled sailor by Franklin D. Roosevelt. Okay, bye-bye!